Assalamu alaikum students. Today we will be initiating with the very basic concept of geometry, that is parallel lines, transversal, and when a pair of parallel lines are being intersected by our transversal, then which angles are formed as a result of this intersection. So let us firstly initiate with the very basic concept of geometry, that is the parallel lines. So a pair of lines that are always same distance apart. So parallel lines could be two or more, but whenever we are saying parallel lines, so in this area we will be considering a pair of lines only. Okay? Although pair of lines, parallel lines could be two or more lines, but here we will be restricting ourselves to a pair of lines. So any two lines that are always same distance apart, and what I mean by same distance apart, it means they neither merge nor diverge. So if I say merge, so it means that they do not intersect each other. If I say merge, it means they do not intersect each other. And if I say diverge, it means they don't go apart. Okay, so by these two words, it is very clear that the pair of parallel lines will always remain at the same distance with each other. And second way to describe parallel lines is that parallel distance between two parallel lines always remains the same. So if I take 2 points, say P1 and P2, and on line L1, L2, and I say L1, line 1 is parallel to line 2. So in this case, I can say that line 1 is parallel to line 2. So if I am taking 2 points P1 and P2, in this case, P1 and P2 line is perpendicular to line L1, and also it is perpendicular to line L2. Exactly. And in the same way, I have taken 2 points, another two pair of points, that is Q1 and Q2. So Q1, Q2 line is perpendicular to L1, and Q1, Q2 is also perpendicular to L2. So if I take such a lines, then I can see that the distance between P1 and P2 and the distance between Q1 and Q2 is the same. So I can say that P1, P2 equals to Q1, Q2. Okay, so there are two ways to consider the concept of parallel lines. Firstly, they remain at the same distance apart, and secondly, they do not merge. And what I mean by merge, they do not intersect with each other. And if I say they don't diverge, it means they don't go apart. So if I take a pair of perpendicular lines, pair of parallel lines, and these are being intersected by two parallel lines, so the distance between these 2 points always remains the same, because these 2 points are always are falling on the parallel lines, keeping in the condition that these lines are formed by these 2 points is perpendicular to the parallel lines. So in that case, the distance between these 2 points or pair of points remains the same. Second comes the concept of transversal. Transversal is very basic and very interesting concept. So if I am having a pair of parallel lines, say here I am having two parallel lines, firstly is the line LM, and second the line is PQ. So as we can see that line LM is parallel to PQ, so mathematically I can say that line LM is parallel to line PQ, and here is a transversal that is intersecting these parallel lines at two distinct points. So here is a transversal which is RS that is intersecting these 2 points at point A and at point B. So we can describe or define the transversal line as a line that intersects two parallel lines, which is the LM and PQ, at two distinct points. So here the transversal RS, which is the transversal, has intersected the parallel lines at point A and at point B. The second is the transversal intersects at an angle. So whenever a transversal intersects a pair of lines, several angles are formed. So for example, here we can see that the transversal is intersecting these parallel lines at an angle called theta. So That is the very basic concept, that transversal always intersect the pair of parallel lines at a certain angle. Nextly, we have whenever transversal intersect a pair of lines, several angles are formed, and these angles are very important in calculating the unknown angles within the geometry. So whenever a transversal intersects a pair of parallel lines, three pair of angles are produced. Firstly is the corresponding angles, secondly is the alternate angles, and thirdly is the interior angles. So these three types of angles are being produced whenever transversal intersect a pair of parallel lines. So firstly, let us see what are corresponding angles. So here I am having a pair of parallel lines, that is AB and CD. So I can say that here the line AB is parallel to line CD, and here I am having a transversal. So I would describe the transversal or write it as, because it would be much convenient and having a clarity that which line is considered as transversal. So I am having a transversal here as PQ. Now you can see that as soon as the line PQ intersects the parallel lines, I am having almost a 4 pair of angles, or I can say that I have produced 8 angles. So I have named these angles. The angles which are being produced at this point are A, B, C, D, and the angles produced at this point are E, F, G, H. So I have named these angles so that I can clarify the properties regarding these angles. So firstly, let us see what are corresponding angles. If you observe here, the angle A and angle E are relatively at the same position. So if two angles are produced in such a way that they are at the relative positions, or you can say at the corresponding positions, so these angles are called corresponding angles. Okay, so here I am having 4 pair of corresponding angles. Okay, here I am having angle A and having angle E. So remember this property, that corresponding angles are always the same. So angle A is equals to angle E. Similarly, you can see that angle D is produced at the same relative position as angle F. So I can say that angle D is equal to angle F, and in a similar way I can see that angle C is produced at the same relative position as the angle G. So I can say that angle C is equal to angle G, and in a similar way angle B here is exactly at the same relative position as angle H. So angle B is equals to angle H, right? So these are the pair of angles that are being produced at the relative positions, and these angles are called corresponding angles. These angles are called corresponding angles. So it is to be remembered that angles that are produced at the same positions, relatively at the same positions, are called corresponding angles, and that they are always equal. And second thing you should remember here, that corresponding angles are produced at the same side of the transversal. At the same side of the transversal. If you see here, angle A is produced and here angle E is produced, which are corresponding angles, and they are produced exactly at the same side of the transversal, exactly at the same in the same way. Here I am having the angle C, and the corresponding angle of angle C is angle G, and they are also produced at the same side of the transversal. So remember this point, that corresponding angles are produced at the same relative positions firstly. Secondly, the corresponding angles are always produced at the same side of the transversal. Got it? Now second is our property is the alternate angles. So alternate angles are the angles that are formed at opposite positions of the parallel lines, and they are produced at the opposite sides of the transversal. So let us see. Here I am having an angle A, and see, if I can say that here angle A is exactly the same as angle G. So angle A and angle G are alternate angles. Okay? If I give you a bit explanation regarding this, so you would be having a bit clarity how these angles are equal. If you see that angle A and angle C are exactly equals because they're vertically opposite angles. So if I see angle C and angle G, they are corresponding angles. So if angle A is equal to angle C and angle C is equal to angle G, so we can say that angle A is exactly equal to angle G. So angle A is equal to angle G is a pair of alternate angles. In the similar way, I can see that angle D and angle H are alternate angles. So our angle D is equals to angle H, and in the similar way angle C is equals to angle G, angle C is equals to angle G, and similar way angle B is equals to angle C is equals to angle G. Sorry, I have taken the pair of corresponding angles over here. Sorry. So next is angle C is equals to angle E. So here we can see that angle C and angle E are alternate angles. So angle C is equals to angle E, and fourthly is angle B is equals to angle D. So here angle B and angle F, angle B and angle F. So here angle B and angle F are alternate angles. So in this way we have produced 4 alternate angles using this property, alternate angles. So these are the alternate angles. Thirdly is the interior angle. So whenever I am talking about the interior angles, it means that interior angles are those angles that are produced between the two lines. So if I can say that, for instance, I am having this pair of lines and being intersected by a transversal. So if I can see that which angles are produced in between these two lines. So the angles that are produced between these two lines are angle C and angle B, and secondly I am having angle F and angle E. So if you see that angle C and angle F, if you add them up, they becomes 180 degrees. So the pair of angles that add up to produce supplementary angle, or you can say that add up to 180 degree, are called supplementary interior angles, and interior angles are always supplementary. So pair of angles that are formed in the area enclosed by two parallel lines. And which is the area enclosed by two parallel lines? This is the area that is being enclosed by the parallel lines and at the same side of the transversal. So if angle B and angle B, if these are the angles that are being produced at the same side of the transversal. So the sum of angle B and angle E is 180 degrees. So I can say that these are supplementary interior angles. And in a similar way, angle C and angle F, they are also produced at the same side of the transversal. So I can say that they also add up to form 180 degrees. So angle B and angle E are supplementary interior angles because they add up to form 180 degree, and exactly in the same way angle C and angle F is also equals to 180 degrees. So these are called interior angles, and whenever we are using this property, we would be mentioning interior angles, or we would be saying these angles as supplementary interior angles, right? So this was the basic concept regarding the parallel lines, the transversal, and the angles that are being produced by the intersection of transversal of the parallel lines. And one thing that I would recommend you to remember is that alternate angles are of two types. Alternate angles could be interior angles and could be exterior angles. So if we see that angle A and angle G, they are formed outside of this parallel line. So for example, if I shade this area between these two parallel lines, so remember, any angle that is being produced in between these lines form the interior angles, and any angle that is being produced outside this region are called exterior angles. So if angle A and angle G are equal by the property of alternate angles, they are exactly alternate angles, but they are exterior alternate angles, that are exterior alternate angles, because they are produced outside of this shaded region. In the same way, I am having angle D and angle H. Angle D and angle H are also alternate angles, but they are also lying outside this shaded region. So if they are outside the shaded region, or they are not lying in between these parallel lines, that are also called exterior angles. So these angle A is equals to angles G and angle D is equal to angle H. These pairs are alternate exterior angles. Now let us see another pair of alternate angles, angle C and angle E. These are equal by the property of alternate angles, but you can see that these two angles are falling in the region that is enclosed by these parallel lines. So they are falling in the shaded region, so we can say that angle C and angle E are alternate angles, but they are interior alternate angles, that are interior alternate angles, interior alternate angles. And in the same way, if you observe the angle B and angle F, these are also lying in the region that is enclosed by these two parallel lines. So these are also interior angles. So they are equal by the property of alternate angles, and also they are, because they are in between these parallel lines, so they are interior angles. So angle B is equals to angle F. So we can say that angle B and angle F are alternate angles and also interior. So we can say that they are interior alternate angles. So in the alternate angles, we have two pair of angles. First two pair is called exterior alternate angles, forming outside of the region of the enclosed by the parallel lines, and the pair of angles that are being produced by in between these two parallel lines, these are called alternate interior angles. So that was all with the basic understanding of the angles that are being produced by the intersection of transversal, and in the coming lessons we will be using these properties to solve some of the questions regarding the Cambridge syllabus, and then we will be going forward to solve some of the past papers, so that you have having a better clarity understanding of these concepts. So that was all for today's lesson. Thank you very much, and Allah Hafiz.